Welcome to another Cinema Talks video, and today we're going to be ranking all of MCU Phase 1. This is my personal opinion based off of how much I enjoyed and liked these movies. First, we're going to talk about the original 2008 Iron Man movie. Now, this movie started it all off. When Iron Man hit theaters in 2008, it wasn't just another superhero movie. It started off the Marvel Cinematic Universe and changed cinema history forever. As all of you know, Robert Downey Jr. played Iron Man, and he was a perfect Tony Stark. I don't even know if they can ever recast Iron Man for how good Robert Downey Jr. played as him. So this movie is obviously Tony Stark's origin story, where we see him escape from the cave in the beginning of the movie and make his first suit, which I loved. I also thought the villain in this movie was okay. The villain was a business partner and mentor at Stark Industries named Obadiah Stane. I really like how he tries to take over the company and uses Tony's technology against him. We see him in this movie make an Ironmonger suit, which is a massive armored weapon that Tony must face in the climactic battle. I thought this movie had clever dialogue and memorable one-liners, like that ending scene.
I am Iron Man.
And also, I just feel like the Iron Man suit was visually stunning in the movie. The final battle between Iron Man and Ironmonger is intense, and I really like the use of technology and strategy that Iron Man imposes in the fight. In the post-credit scene of this movie, we see Nick Fury appear to tell Iron Man about the Avengers Initiative. This hints at the larger MCU and makes the fans excited and eager to see what comes next. So overall, for this movie, I think that they successfully launched the MCU, proving that interconnected superhero films could happen. This movie was really compelling, so I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 overall score. In the following year, we got the next movie in the MCU timeline, The Incredible Hulk. Now, this movie, some people wouldn't really put in Phase 1, even though it is, but I see why, because Hulk did get recasted as Mark Ruffalo in the upcoming Avengers movie in 2012. Now, I personally kind of did enjoy this movie. The main villain was a soldier obsessed with becoming stronger named Emil Blonsky, who ended up undergoing a gamma experiment that turns him into the Abomination. One of the best scenes of this movie is obviously the Hulk versus Abomination fight. The battle takes place in the streets of Harlem, and it just makes it feel like the destruction of the battle is just way better in this grounded area. Unlike many CGI fights in the later MCU, this one really just shows a good guy versus a bad guy, which I really like. This CGI was really impressive for 2008. Particularly in showing every punch and slam that the Hulk did. And the Abomination being almost as strong as the Hulk makes Hulk's win in the end feel earned. I do like Edward Norton's portrayal of the Hulk, but I personally like Mark Ruffalo's portrayal a little bit better. In the post-credit scene of this movie, Tony Stark appears and seems to be talking about him about creating a team of heroes. This teases the future Avengers and connects the film to a larger MCU. So overall, I do like this movie, and I think it's a really well-done, action-packed thriller. But I'm going to be giving this movie a 5 out of 10. I just think it's one of the weaker movies of the MCU. The next movie in Phase 1 is Iron Man 2, which released in 2010. Iron Man 2 continues the story of Tony Stark with a heavier focus on his struggles as a hero and the toll of being Iron Man. We also see that Tony Stark has some health issues in this movie. And the main villain in this movie is Ivan Vanko, also known as Whiplash. He builds his own arc-powered whip weapons, which he used against Tony. Black Widow also makes her MCU debut in this movie. She first appears as Tony Stark's Expo-style party, posing undercover as a girl named Natalie. It connects to S.H.I.E.L.D. and ultimately connects to the Avengers. Another one of the major battles that I did like in this movie was Iron Man versus War Machine. For the final battle of this movie, Iron Man and War Machine team up against Whiplash. I do really think that this villain wasn't as good in this movie. I just feel like he's less memorable than the other villains that would come in Phase 1. Overall, Iron Man 2 was a really enjoyable movie, and I did like it. I didn't enjoy it as much as the first Iron Man movie, so I'm going to end up giving this movie a 6 out of 10. The next MCU movie in 2011 is Thor. This movie opens on Asgard with Thor trying to lead an attack on the Frost Giants. Eventually, Odin, who is Thor's dad, takes away Thor's power and banishes him to Earth. He crash lands in a small town where we get to meet the side characters of this movie. The side characters are Jane Foster, Darcy Lewis, and Dr. Eric Selvig. In this movie, we do get the memorable one-liner where he's in the coffee shop with Jane.
This drink, I like it.
I know, it's great, right?
Another!
We also do get introduced to Loki in this movie, and he becomes a voluntary threat just beyond this movie. So I do think Loki is excellent in this movie, and he's really one of my favorite parts about this movie. By the end of the movie, Loki feels overshadowed by Thor, and just feels that he will never live up to what Thor is now. When Thor returns to Asgard, he confronts Loki, and they have an epic final battle on the bridge. Then we see Loki seemingly die, leaving his fate unknown. I do really like this final battle scene because we see that Loki dies, but he becomes the main villain of the first Avengers movie. One of the reasons why I didn't like this movie was because I just feel that some of the jokes are just uneven and that the Earth-based jokes just feel forced in some of these moments. Another reason why I didn't like this movie was because once Thor got banished from Asgard, we didn't really see a lot of Thor after that. He was mainly just a person on Earth. Overall, I did enjoy this movie. I think it was a pretty good origin movie for Thor. So overall, I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. The next movie in the MCU Phase 1 timeline is Captain America the First Avenger. Captain America the First Avenger introduces Steve Rogers, who lives in Brooklyn, who was transformed into Captain America in World War II. The film combines a period war movie with a superhero action and establishes one of MCU's most grounded and iconic characters. I like how this movie is set in the 1940s during World War II, and it has a unique nostalgia feeling compared to the other MCU films. The main villain of this movie is Red Skull and Hydra. I also feel that he's an imposing villain. He wanted to use the power of the Tesseract to superpower a bunch of weapons to take over the world. I do like how they keep bringing the Tesseract into these movies because it shows how much of a central role this stone is in MCU Phase 1. I like when we see Captain America fight some battles in World War II. We also do get introduced to Bucky in this MCU movie, which is now one of Steve's best friends. He ends up falling off of a train, but we never see his body. This hints at his return in future MCU projects. In the final battle, we see Steve Rogers fight Red Skull aboard a plane to stop a bomb from reaching a city. Steve Rogers ultimately crashes the plane into the Arctic, sacrificing himself to save millions. This is when we see him preserved in ice for decades, setting up his return in the Avengers movie. I think it would have been cool to see more of Steve Rogers and Bucky Barnes' interactions after Steve Rogers became Captain America. In the post-credit scene, we see Nick Fury visit the recovered Steve Rogers and tells him about the Avengers Initiative. So overall, I think that Captain America the First Avengers is a solid origin story, and I really like the action in this movie and how it really sets up Captain America to be an upright hero. I do think it's really enjoyable and that it's one of the best movies in MCU Phase 1. So overall, I would end up giving this movie a 7.5 out of 10. For the last MCU movie in Phase 1, we have Marvel's The Avengers. The Avengers is the last and final movie in Phase 1, and this movie is a masterpiece. So a quick rundown of the plot is that Loki, which is Thor's brother, arrives on Earth and steals a Tesseract, a powerful energy source, planning to use it to open a portal for an alien army to invade Earth. To stop him, Nick Fury activates the Avengers Initiative, bringing together a group of heroes, each with different skills and personalities to form a team. At first, the heroes disagree to their ego and mistrust, but when tragedy strikes, Loki's full plan is revealed. One of the most standout scenes of this movie is the Avengers finally assembling in New York. This is one of the most iconic scenes in all of Marvel. This is the moment the entire Phase 1 has been building to. This movie also had some really good comedy in it, especially when Hulk smashes Loki.
I am a god, you dull creature, and I will not be bullied by that.
I really do like Captain America's leadership in this movie. At the end of the movie, we see Iron Man fly a nuclear missile into the wormhole to destroy the Chitauri's mothership, risking his life to save Earth. This is a huge moment for Tony Stark because it shows how much he's changed since the first Iron Man movie. I do think that this movie really nails the challenge of bringing together 6 unique heroes. This movie was definitely a perfect payoff to Phase 1. So finally, I really think that this movie delivers everything we've been looking to in this phase. There was great action and comedy, and every character got to stand out in their own way. Overall, my rating for this movie is a 9 out of 10. So now, here's my ranking for the Phase 1 movies. At number 1, we have The Avengers. This movie was a grand payoff for Phase 1, and I believe that this movie nailed the tone and improved the MCU formula could actually work. At number 2, we have the original Iron Man movie. This movie was the movie that started it all, and Robert Downey Jr. was awesome as Tony Stark. Overall, I think that this movie was really enjoyable. At number 3, I have Captain America the First Avenger because this movie was a perfect start to the Captain America character and it sets up his arc perfectly for future MCU movies. At number 4, I have Thor. This movie, although it is a solid movie, is kind of uneven in tone, but Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston are great as Thor and Loki. At number 5, I have Iron Man 2. This movie has great moments like Black Widow's debut, but is a bit cluttered with a setup for Avengers. Don't get me wrong, this movie is really good, but I just think that the other ones top it. Then at number 6, I have The Incredible Hulk. This movie isn't the worst, I just feel that it's really disconnected from the MCU timeline. Edward Norton was good as the Hulk, but overall, I just think that the other movies top it. So that is my overall Phase 1 MCU ranking. Stay tuned for my Phase 2 MCU ranking. Let me know what you guys think down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.